count them, right? There's so many of them. So they kind of described how many were there. What does it say they were doing to each other? They're stepping on each other, right? They tried to go from here to there. It said they trod one upon another. That means that they're trying to step over this one and over that one. They might have stepped on someone's foot or their hand, okay? So there was so many people that they were falling over each other. So Jesus starts to preach, and he says, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Now, what's leaven? You ever made bread? Okay. What do you put in the bread? You put something in the bread, right? So let's say you put flour, water, salt, then you could put some varying other stuff, but there's one thing you've got to put in the bread. What was it? Clear. Yeast. Yeah. You know what does yeast do? Makes it rise. You know why?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That's called leaven. Leavening. So what yeast does is when it starts to grow, it grows very fast. And it grows through the whole thing. As it grows, it produces gas. Okay? Little bubbles of gas. In fact, if you put leaven in a bowl and you mix a little bit of flour, a little bit of water, a little bit of honey, you'll see it start to bubble. Okay? So it goes through the whole thing. Now, we usually use wheat for bread because it has gluten in it. So you work it and work it and work it, it makes these strings of gluten. What do? They catch the bubbles. So as they catch the bubbles, they start to rise. Okay? So that's how bread's made. But you only put a little bit of leaven in there, a little bit of yeast. But you make pounds of bread because it spreads very quickly. So what is he warning us about? The leaven of hypocrisy. What's hypocrisy? Ladies, stay with me up there. What's hypocrisy? A hypocrite. What's a hypocrite? Is that like a hypothesis?
No. It's like someone that maybe like tattle on someone else, that they're doing something but they do the same thing.
Okay, so you're saying one thing, but you do another. That's hypocrisy. So they're saying, oh, they're bad, but you're bad. Yeah, you're trying to get the others in trouble. All right. So, so the next couple verses, verse 9 and 10. Let's read that. Who's going to read that? Where's your Bible? You don't have a Bible?
I'll read it.
9 and 10.
9 to 10.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, let's read 2 and 3. Let's read 2 and 3.
I'll read it. For there is nothing covered.
That's right.
For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have spoken in the ear in inner rooms will be proclaimed on the housetops.
Okay. So, what does this mean? What do these two verses mean?
Does it start with even as they delivered?
No.
Wait.
For there is nothing. Verse 2 and 3.
Wait.
2 and 3.
Luke 12.
Yeah, Luke 12, verse 2 and 3.
Okay.
So it says, for there is nothing covered
Yeah.
that shall not be revealed, nothing hid, right? That shall not be known. Therefore, whatever you speak in the closet in the darkness shall be heard in the light. Whatever you've spoken in the ear, in the closets, shall be proclaimed from the housetops. So what's that saying? What does that mean?
So I guess if you like prayed in your closet for, let's say, for someone to get well, and then they got well, it's like everybody knows. I don't know.
you're kind of close, but it's not usually something good. It's not talking about something good.
When you whisper to your friend something about something.
Yeah, so when it said in the closet, but in someone's ear. So let's say that you two want to talk about Connor, right? But you don't want him to hear what you say. So where do you go?
Upstairs.
Upstairs in a room, close the door. Right? So what do you do? You're hiding. But this is saying, what does that mean then? Why is he saying this? Is that going to be shouted from a housetop? What do you think it means then?
He'll eventually find out.
I think it's talking about God. So what do you think it means? God hears everything. You can't hide in the closet from God. You can't hide in the dark and think God doesn't see you or hear you, right? Also, generally, it means your sins will be found out. So if it's a wrong thing, someone's going to know. It's going to be revealed at some time. But this is talking about God. This is talking about how much God knows. All right? So now, let's read verses 6 and 7. Verse 6 and 7, same chapter.
Are not 5 sparrows? Oh, wait.
Stand up,
Sold.
nice and loud. Thank you.
Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2
Farthings.
and not one of them is forgotten before God? But even the very hairs on your head are numbered. Fear not, therefore, there are none more valued than many sparrows.
Okay. All right, so are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings? Now, see, can you look up how much a farthing was? It's like a part of a penny. Okay.
That makes one penny then.
What's that?
So each part, what is it? What do you say?
It's 5 sparrows. You know what a sparrow is?
A quarter of a penny.
Each
Quarter of a penny. Yeah.
is each a quarter of a penny?
No, 5 of them. 5 of those birds are sold for just a quarter of a penny. So you could have bought 20 of those birds for 1 penny.
Yeah. 20 birds for 1 penny.
So
That's cheap.
why so cheap? They're everywhere.
Oh.
Sparrows are everywhere, and they don't have any value. They don't sing any pretty songs. They don't look pretty. In fact, a sparrow here, when you ever made your dad ever make a bluebird a house for bluebirds? Those pretty bluebirds that come in the spring. You have to put a certain size hole in there that only the bluebird can go in, because if not, a sparrow will go in there and he will take the nest. If there's eggs in it, he'll break all the eggs up and throw them out. If there's babies in there, he'll kill the babies and throw them out and take the nest. They're a bad bird, and they're everywhere. Okay?
Wait, so bluebirds are tiny?
They're skinnier. The sparrow is rounder, bigger.
Oh.
He's not as tall, but he's fat. So he can't get through that small hole, but a bluebird can get through a pretty small hole.
Why are they mean like that?
It's just the way they are, right? So sin has made nature all kinds of different things. So do you think there were buzzards? What does a buzzard do?
Scavenge?
Scavenger, it eats dead things, right? So if something died alongside the road, how do you know that? If you don't smell it.
Because the buzzards.
Buzzards are there, they're out out there are all out there looking, some are on the ground. Yeah. So do you think they were in the Garden of Eden? Well, if they were, they weren't eating dead things because nothing died, right? So they were different back then. Now these little sparrows, you know, nature has changed over time. I don't know if we even had sparrows back in the Garden of Eden, but now they are everywhere, and we really don't see a benefit to having this sparrow. It's just a worthless bird. That's why 5 of them that were sold for 1/4 of a penny. But what does it say about God? What does the verse say about God?
6.
Huh? Oh, verse 6, yeah. So what does the verse say about God? Even if that one of those worthless birds, one of them is worth what? 1/16 of a penny. If one of those birds falls to the ground, who knows it? Read the verse. What's it say? God knows it. God knows it. Then it says, even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. How many hairs? Did you count your hairs this morning? You did? Why not? How about you? Your dad has less hairs than any of us here. So maybe he did. Did you count your hairs this morning?
Did I count them? No.
Who would count their hair?
God.
Besides him.
Besides him. You know what the problem is? We can't do it. Yeah. You ever comb your hair? What do you see in your brush? What do you see in your brush? Hair. And there's little hairs coming in we can't even see yet. So we can't do it.
He keeps it all tracked for every person.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just you. He knows every hair you have on your head. But, so he knows every hair on the head of your brother, your brothers, your father, your mother, your grandfather, everybody. Everybody in the church, everybody in your neighborhood, everybody in the town, everybody in this state, everybody in this country, everybody in the whole world. In fact, everybody that has ever lived since the time of Adam. So do you see why it's kind of foolish to try to hide from God? So this is what we do when we want to do something wrong. We want to, if we don't want our parents to know, what do? We try to find some time when they don't think they can hear us or they can't see us, okay? Then maybe we'll hide in our closet or in our room or in the garage, thinking we can hide from God. But we can't. Let's see how much he knows. Let's go to Psalms. $142. 142. No, 147. I'm sorry. 147. 147 and verse 4. Let's see if we can get some others. I'll come back to you again.
He telleth the number of his stars. He calleth them he calleth them all by their names.
All right. So what does it say about God? He telleth the number of the stars, how many stars there are. But not only that,
He has a name.
he knows their names. He knows their names. All right, how many stars are there?
3 billion. More.
Okay, so have you ever had a cup of sand?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Maybe you made started to make sandcastle or something. So you got a cup of sand, right, Ned? Right? How many grains of sand are in there?
I don't know.
Too many to count, isn't it? Right? That's 1 cup of sand. Do you know how many grains of sand are in there? I don't know. It'd take quite a machine to be able to count how many grains of sand in there. How about 1 bucket of sand?
Innumerable.
If you can't count how many grains of sand are in 1 cup, how about 1 bucket? How about
If you counted how much was in a cup, and then you see how many cups was
yes,
into a bucket, it's about that number.
that's right. So how many grains of sand are in a cup?
You have to start with an eighth of a teaspoon. And even then, maybe not.
All right. Well, then you can't. We're kind of losing how many number of grains of sand we are, and we're only at a bucket, right? How about a sandbox? How about a dump? How about a dump truck load of sand?
Nah, I can't do that.
Oh yeah. Well, how about how many grains of sand are on the shore in Florida? You been to the beach in Florida?
Wait, but then there's also some sand in the water.
That's right. Guess what one astronomer said? What's an astronomer?
Someone that's something has to do with the stars, I think.
He studies the stars. Astronomy studies the stars. One astronomer said there are more stars than all the grains of sand on all the shores of Earth. How does he know? Because there are more stars. Because they can't count them. There's too many.
There's also too many sand.
That's right. But everywhere they look, then they can look further. Guess what they see?
Specks.
More stars. More stars. Guess what those stars are though? Those are galaxies that have billions and billions and billions of stars in them.
Oh, nice.
So let's see how big the universe is. Shall we? Want to figure that out? How big the universe is. Alright, so how far away is our nearest star? The nearest star to us. Not the sun, because the sun's our star. So the nearest star to our solar system, how far away is it? What?
50 light years.
No. Now, if you were Brazilian, I just offended you by telling you no. Since you're American, I had to. It's 4.5 light years away. So what does that mean? What's a light year?
Light can travel in a year.
That's right. How far light can travel in a year. Alright? How fast does light travel? Huh? Pretty fast, but how fast is that? 186,000 miles per second.
A second?
Yeah. That's 186,000 miles. So this times 1 minute, 60 of those, times 1 hour, 60 of those, times 24 hours, which is 24 of those, times 365 days will give you 1 light year. So the universe is so big, we don't have any numbers. We don't have a number to say how far that is. We don't even have a number to say how far that first star is from us. So we made up a number, and that number is a light year. How far light can travel in 1 year. Do you know how far we have? What's a galaxy? Do you know what a galaxy is? Huh? Say it a little louder. Look at me and answer the question. Nice and clear.
A cluster of stars.
A cluster of stars. Yes. We're in a galaxy. What's the name of our galaxy? Huh? Milky Way. That's right. So we in our galaxy, our galaxy is kind of like this. Okay, we're over here. Okay.
Like on the side-ish.
So yeah, so our sun, moon, stars, our sun, and all our planets. Okay, that's called our solar system, right? All the way up to Pluto. They say that how big that is like 1 teacup, 1 little teacup inside the United States. The United States is our Milky Way, and our little teacup is us, our little solar system.
So our soul's something.
Yeah. So from there, travel to the middle of our Milky Way would take us 220,000 light years. But there are thousands, millions, and billions of galaxies. And God knows the number of the stars, and He calls them all by name. But we think
Does He just know it, or did He like count it?
He knows it. You know why?
He made it.
He made them.
Did He name it?
Yeah. Every time He made one, He gave it a name.
So He it's like an.
Is it human names or like something?
Well, how long has God lived? Forever. Right? So, He's been making these things forever. The thing of it is, you know what God has? Photographic memory. Do you know what photographic memory is? Okay, if you take a picture of something, that's called a photograph, right? What does that picture do? Hmm? A little louder. Give memories. Okay. Whatever you took a picture of, it preserves it for the rest of time, right? You can never, the picture never will forget what it was, right? Whatever you took a picture of, it'll be there forever. If somebody with a photographic memory is whatever they look at, they can never forget. It remains. Everything. Some people have it. Some people can take a book like this and just turn the pages, and when they're done, they have the whole book memorized because it's all photographed. That's called the photographic memory. God has that. So let's turn back to Luke chapter 12. verses we looked at in Luke chapter 12, what was God trying to say to the people? So when he said there's nothing hid that won't be revealed, there's nothing set in the closet that won't be shouted from the housetop, and even if a sparrow that worthless little sparrow falls to the ground, who knows it? God knows it. Okay? So who would do that? That's life. Things die all the time, right? Have you ever had any pets that died? Yeah. It happens. It just happens. It's part of the sinful world we live in. So when we get to the Garden of Eden, though, they will never die. All right. So what's God trying to say to us here? There's nothing he does not know. There's nothing that can be hid from him. He knows more about you than you know about yourself. How do we know that?
Because we can't count.
That's right. You can't even count the hairs on your head, but who knows it? God.
Or the thread in the clothes.
That's right. So, why is it that we get so upset? We think we need something, but we don't think God knows we need it. But God knows everything. Everything. Okay? So, let's look at verse 13, 14, and 15. Verse 13 first. Maggie, have you read?
No.
Could you read verse 13?
Luke 12.
Luke 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Kuha ninyong ukulele,
Hello.
Aiden.
Happy Sabbath.
7.
Hey, Dan.
Luke 12.
Hey,
And verse 13.
Okay. And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me.
You like that?
Keep going.
Just a minute. No. Let's see this. Chapter 12, verse 13. What does it say?
And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me.
Okay. So what is this gentleman worried about? He's worried about something, right?
He wants to get money.
He wants to get money, right? What money? What does it mean, inheritance? So, if your mom and dad were to die, whatever they own now goes to you children. Did you know that?
Yes.
You're not old enough yet, so it would have to go in a trust. But if you were older, then it would go to you. Even their debts. If they owe a lot, you're responsible for their debts. Right? So, this man wants his brother to share the inheritance with him. What does that mean? Who got the inheritance back here? Who? Okay, so back here, the oldest boy got the inheritance. Okay? He got the spiritual and the physical inheritance. So this boy is saying, speak to my brother and ask him to share his money with me. So what does it say about this boy? He's not the firstborn. Okay? So what does he think he deserves? He thinks he deserves some of the money, right? So back then, the firstborn got it, and it was up to him whether he shared the inheritance with his siblings, with his brothers and sisters. Okay? So this brother didn't think he should have some of the inheritance. So he wants Jesus to jump in and make him pay him some money. Right? He thinks he deserves more than he gets, than he has. So how does Jesus answer him? Verse 14.
You want me to
Back to you, Connor.
3:14.
And he said unto him, Man, who
Man.
who made me a judge or a divider over you?
Okay, so how's Jesus answer? Man, what's wrong with you? Didn't you hear what I just got done telling everybody? About how God knows everything? Even what you speak in the closet? Even the number of hairs on your head? What is wrong with you? Why are you coming to me and asking me to intervene in this family affair? So does that mean there are some things we shouldn't be asking God? Now, we should be very careful of what we ask God. So what does he then warn us about? Next verse.
And
We'll go here now. Then I'll come back to it.
15?
And he said to them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of the things he possesses.
Okay. So what's covetousness?
Wanting something else that you don't have, like someone else's stuff.
That's right. Did you know that's the foundation of all sin? Selfishness. That's the ultimate selfishness. So if Connor has a new bike and you want one just like his, you think you deserve as nice a bike as Connor has. That's covetousness. What should you be? Happy that Connor got a new bike.
Amen.
Not sad that you didn't get one. Right? That's the difference. Either my selfishness or glad that Connor got a new bike. I want to see that new bike. So, this life, even when you're young, is in danger of being covetousness. But as we get older, especially, so we see the, what do we call it, the Joneses, and did you have your hand up?
Yes. You know, I've had to deal with this often with other people. And, you know, God says, I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. If I was hungry, I would not ask you, because I own everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what people don't realize is that jealousy does not make any intellectual common sense. Just because Craig has a nice car gives me no right to want Craig's car, because if God wanted me to have one, he could give me one without taking it from Craig.
Yeah.
And so, whether I have or don't have, and Craig has or doesn't have, in other words, my life, what I have and don't have, has no bearing on what Craig has. You know, why did God choose David? Well, he says he's a man after my own heart. I'm sure many people in Israel thought they were qualified to be king.
His brothers.
Yeah, absolutely. Even his father, his own father, thought that his brothers were better than him. But, you know, God is the one that distributes gifts. God is the one that distributes position. He distributes wealth. He distributes intellect. He distributes other talents. And we have no right to be jealous.
Amen.
Just appreciate what God gives you and do the best you can with the gift that God gives you.
You know, I asked a group of young people one time. I said, "Why do you work?" Why? Little older people in these, because they had jobs. So, why do you go to work? Then, of course, the answer is, well, we got payments, somebody has to pay for an apartment, and you know, get the whole list. So it's really, okay, so let's turn to Ephesians chapter 4.
What was it?
Ephesians and we're going to read verse 28.
Ephesians what?
Chapter 4 and verse 28. So that'd be you, Maggie.
Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth.
All right. So let him labor with his hands. What's that called? Working, right? For what reason?
To give to other people.
To give to those that need it, that don't have what they need.
Amen.
But we become selfish. So we work so we have more money, so we could have a better car, so we could have a better house, so we could have better. Now there's nothing wrong with working to take care of your family, because that's your dad's first responsibility is to make sure you are healthy, and safe. Okay, that's his first responsibility. Secondly, is to find someone that's in need and help them.
Amen.
Not many of us think this. Not many of us think this. Okay.
Can I share from my personal experience?
Sure.
It's very interesting how the unregenerate heart works. Quite a few times in my life, I've, been around other people and they had something that they would say, it might be my boss or some good man I work with or whoever, and they'll say, I'm going to throw that away, I don't like it. And I say, oh, you're going to throw it away? You mind if I take it? All of a sudden, it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Now they want to make money. They don't want to give it to me, even though they're going to throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
And, this shows the grasping spirit that people have. And, I asked one of these same guys that did that, I said, why do you give tithe? Because he paid a faithful tithe. And he said, well, the Lord's promised me a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, I pay tithe and offerings my whole life long. I've never got a financial blessing that I know of from paying tithe and offering, but I receive a spiritual blessing.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that's the most important thing. But yet, why was he doing it? Not because he enjoyed seeing God's work go forward, but he wanted God to give him more money. And he told me that. That's why I do it. Isn't that so selfish? And the thing is, he was willing to share that. How many people do that without even telling you their real motive? And not only that, how many people do mission work or charitable deeds to receive a blessing from God? Is not that covetous?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah. Do you know the name Wrigley? Wrigley? Children, do you know the name Wrigley?
Like
What's that?
kind of like moving around, can't sit still.
No, it's a name. It's the name of a person.
Oh.
Wrigley.
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum. Chewing gum. The little stick, right? Sticks of chewing gum.
Yeah,
Those
you
are
always
Wrigley's.
ask me to buy in the register.
A Wrigley caterpillar.
No, chewing gum.
That's a wiggle.
The package of chewing gum where you pull the sticks out, you take the foil off them.
Rectangle.
No, Wrigley chewing gum. Yes, it's an interesting story about Mr. Wrigley. Okay, he when he developed it, he became a Christian and wanted to pay tithe. So he and his wife agreed to pay tithe, right, from the very beginning. So how much tithe do you pay on $1? Or was it?
10 cents.
10 cents. How much tithe do you pay on $10? $1. How much tithe do you pay on $100? $10. On 1,000? $100. On $10,000? $1,000. On $100,000? $10,000. On $1 million? $100,000. So the more you make, it's a more of a challenge to pay your tithe. You start thinking, wow, what if I made $10 million? How much tithe would I pay? $1 million.
Well, if you still have 9 million, that's a lot.
I know, but we don't look at the 9 million. We look at the 1 million we have to give up. Okay? So Mr. Wrigley, when he first started out, paid his 10% from the very beginning. But then, he and his wife were receiving such blessings that they decided to pay 12%. Then later, 15, then later 20, and at one time, they were paying 100% of their income in tithe. And
Praise
the
the
Lord
Lord.
still blessed them.
Are they still alive?
No. So let's read 3 more verses and then we'll stop. So if I were to say to you that, what would you think of someone that is strong? Someone strong. You could think of many different things, right? So I'm not talking about someone who's got big muscles. Okay. I saw a story about a vegan gentleman that lifted and carried the most weight of anybody in the world. Can't remember how much it was, like 1,200 pounds. Picked up and carried it 30 feet for a world record. So I'm not talking about somebody that's got big muscles and strong. So if you think of someone that is strong, not muscle-wise, what do you think of? So you have to think of in different ways, right? So what are other ways which you could be strong? Spiritual, yes. So we think some people are more spiritual than other people, don't we? Yeah. And there's character, right? Some people are afraid of everything, and some people are not afraid. So we think they are stronger. So there's many ways of looking at strength. Yeah. So let's read Romans chapter 15. And verse 1. What's it say? Let's see, it's your turn.
Hannah or me?
Hannah. Hannah or Hannah?
15:1.
Yeah.
We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves.
Alright, so we that are strong, what are we supposed to do? What's an infirmity?
Like,
Something,
just
yeah.
disability?
Something, well, it could be. Something to make others weak. Whatever that might be, alright? So it says, we that are strong ought to do what?
Help them.
Help those that are weaker than we are. And not to do what? Please ourselves. Yes. So this is a different type of thinking. Okay. So again, we can go back to Connor's bike, right? Connor got that new bike. So what should Connor do with that new bike? his sisters touch that bike,
Yeah.
right? Right? Never let him even touch that bike. So what would that would be pleasing himself, right? That would be his selfishness. What ought he to do?
Share it.
He should see as and please his sisters, make them as happy as possible. May even teach his younger brother how to ride it. Okay?
He'll give him a scratch on it.
Yes, but that's going to happen. If you're going to help somebody else, it's going to happen. Your bike is going to be scratched. You're going to lose some money. Yes, it will happen, guaranteed. Right? So, do you remember we had where we helped the homeless there in Crossville? Do you remember when we went down?
Maybe like with books.
Yeah, we took them. We gave them sleeping bags and we gave them some other things. Do you remember when we went down to the park?
Recently?
No, it was a couple months ago. 3 months ago.
No, I don't think I will.
Oh, you didn't want? But remember we put all those packages together?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
So we went down there and we met the people in the park and I talked to them a little bit and then we gave them those packages. You know, we had some food, different things in it,
How do you
right?
know they're homeless?
Hmm?
Were you like, what? Did you recognize if they were homeless or not?
Yeah, we knew they were. Yeah. So there was a group of them under a pavilion, under one of those places where the picnic tables are. So one of them had a need. Okay? He needed a bike. Needed a bike to ride back and forth to work. Right? So my wife and I gave him a bike to use. Supposedly he was going to use it till he got some money and then he was going to give the bike back. Guess what? We never got the bike back. He got enough money and he left. Took the bike with him. Okay. So,
Wait, on purpose or by accident?
no, on purpose. Alright. So that's why I'm saying the bike is going to get scratched. You're going to get scratches. So, should I be upset?
Maybe.
Why?
Because they made a promise and then they didn't give up.
Yeah, but I thought God knew everything. That God knew.
Maybe it was part of the plan.
Well, I know it is part of the plan. God told me to help others. He didn't tell me it wouldn't cost me. He told me I should help others. So would God replace the bike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Easy. Should I worry about it? Should I get angry?
No.
Should I quit helping people?
No.
No. So just expect that we're trying to help people find Jesus. The way to help people find Jesus is to be kind and helpful to them. Some will appreciate it, some will not. Okay. Last two verses, verse 2 and 3. So Maggie, I think it's your turn.
Let every one of us please his neighbor for his
For his good.
to edification. For even Christ pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproached me fell on me.
Mm-hmm. So, even as Jesus did. Did Jesus help people? Yeah. Did he get his bike scratched?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Okay. Do we have a closing song?
Yes, we do.